Time for the No Panic Zone. I'm Steve Gruber. I am America's voice. An anti-socialist still after Thanksgiving because, well, Thanksgiving shows me what the great things are about America. Here's the big things you need to know right now. Number one, I have to say it was a terrific Thanksgiving, and it was topped off by a dominating performance by Michigan on the road in Columbus, destroying the Buckeyes. Number two, guns are among the top priorities for Democrats to go after with the midterms over and the window narrowing before Republicans take control of the House. They're going to try, I can guarantee you that. And number three, speaking of control, have you heard how wonderfully that experiment in socialism and collectivism is going lately in China? If you missed the news over the weekend, the long holiday weekend, let me tell you, it appears the Chinese people have had it with zero-tolerance COVID policies, lockdowns, detainment, arrests, and all of the heavy-handed beatdowns from President Xi Jinping and his Chinese Communist Party thugs. The Chi-Coms are, for the first time since 1989, facing a real uprising. But this time it could be much worse than before. Protesters are filling streets from Nanking to Wuhan. It's all over. It's all over social media. Twitter's filled with videos of the riots and the uproar. Others are toppling barricades, getting into physical altercations with police and military. It seems millions of ordinary Chinese citizens have reached their breaking point and have decided to actively fight back against COVID. How far will it get? Nobody can say it for sure, but with protesters in the streets calling for Xi to resign and others demanding the CCP be disbanded, this could be a longer battle. After months of mandatory lockdowns, leaving Chinese citizens unable to leave their homes, many without enough food or water, others locked inside their homes, and that may have sparked the outrage in the streets. Now, you see, with an apartment building reportedly going up in flames just a few days ago, people were locked inside. Reports say they were unable to escape. Rescue workers unable to get to the scene because of closed down streets, all because of COVID lockdowns. And several of those people were burned alive. Burned alive. Well, that was the breaking point. And yet here at home, Democrats that have consistently been cheerleaders praising the things that China does, praising China. What a wonderful country they are, including Joe Biden. They now find themselves trying to get away from the Chinese themselves. Democrats like Senator Chris Murphy of Delaware, who weighs in on the growing protests happening across China. Listen to this.
These repressive regimes in Iran and in Russia, in Beijing, they have mastered the art of crushing dissent. So there have been hopeful moments of protest in Moscow and in Tehran, and we've seen those protests be beaten back. I imagine that President Xi is the most adept of all of these leaders in terms of crushing this revolt and rebellion that he's seeing. But let's see. The zero COVID policy has been a disaster, both economically and politically inside China. It's not surprising that he has people out on the streets, but these dictators, unfortunately, have pretty sophisticated means of remaining in power.
Oh, yes. But he's among those that have praised China for all they've done. They did such a wonderful job with COVID containment. Justin Trudeau, north of the border, the same. But those same leftists have told us over and over how great they are, the Chinese, openly ignoring the fact that China let the virus infect the whole world while refusing to admit what they'd done wrong, which, by my measurement, is just about everything. It seems quite clear to me and many others. The virus most likely originated at the Wuhan in the Institute of Virology. That was financed in part by the now infamous Anthony Fauci, who, despite his denials, has been tied directly to the gain-of-function research that was conducted there. Meanwhile, the calls are rising here at home for more COVID measures. Can you believe it? To be put in place again, even though most Americans stopped caring about this illness a long time ago and would be as angry as the Chinese are right now over more endless COVID protocols and government control. In fact, Anthony Fauci claims we're still in the middle of a COVID pandemic. He just won't give it up. Listen to this.
Is this country ready for another pandemic? And are we still in the one we have not, that we've been talking about?
Well, we certainly are still in it. I think you just need to look at the numbers. We're still having between 300 and 400 deaths per day. So I think the idea that, forget it, this is over, it isn't. We're going into the winter right now. We have the wherewithal to mitigate against another surge. It's up to us to make sure that doesn't happen. And that's the thing that's very frustrating, Chuck, among public health officials, including myself. We have an updated vaccine booster that we want to do, but the uptake of that is less than 15%. It's somewhere between 11 and 15%. We've got to do better than that.
It's about 12% for the numbers I looked at. I'm shocked, Anthony. People aren't just jumping in line to get the jab, to get another booster, to get more false hope. Tens of millions of people bought what you were saying. But the government, along the way, destroyed any credibility it might have. Public health officials like Anthony Fauci destroyed any credibility they might have with the public. It's gone. Because after they told us it would stop the spread, it didn't. They told us it would do a lot of things. It didn't. We know now that other serious side effects are a real problem, causing people to die. I saw another one. A young Korean man, live streaming with a group of friends, fell over dead. He was 22 or 3. See it all the time on social media. These people just die. It's not normal at all. And the really surprising thing is the absolute political tone deafness of those continuing to push the idea of more jabs, more boosters, more lockdowns, some even suggesting schools. Schools could be virtual again this winter. That's right, parents. For those of you that decided to go blue in the midterms, this is what you get. See, the priorities are just misplaced again. Shortages of some common medicines are really serious right now. Some common medicines are not on the shelves. But the White House, still pushing COVID jabs and not looking into this other serious problem. Listen.
Ask about this shortage of amoxicillin and even ibuprofen in some places.
Yeah.
What do they do about that?
Yeah, this is, we have some broader supply chain issues with our medications that we've had for decades. I have seen this as a practicing clinician. I often, when I walk into the hospital, find some normal medicine that I'm used to using not available. We have got to continue working on that. We've made a lot of strides in this administration, but our work here is not done. So we have got to continue making sure that these medicines are available. I will tell you, the good news is plenty of vaccines for flu and COVID, plenty of treatments for flu and COVID. Those are still out there. We have plenty of those, but we've got to work on the other things.
But if you need an antibiotic because you have a bacterial infection, you're screwed. But we've got COVID jabs. Who is this guy? Seriously. Antibiotics, ibuprofen, they're short, but we've got jabs. We've got jabs. We're going to continue this conversation after the break. But first, let me tell you this as winter sets in. WellConnect is a hybrid geothermal system that connects to your existing heating and cooling system. It uses a state-of-the-art heat pump to produce heat in your home using the water in your well. That's right, well water. If you have a well in the yard, this can do it. WellConnect geothermal is something different. It's a hybrid system. It doesn't replace what you have. But basically, the state-of-the-art heat pump and the air conditioning, it's free. And by the way, air conditioning requirements, government requirements change at the beginning of the coming year. Will push the price of new air conditioning units 25 to 40% higher. If you've been thinking about air conditioning, don't think any longer. Go to wellconnectgeo.com. Wellconnectgeo.com. More on the lockdowns and COVID after this.